spelled Rosman, Reel 6. At the end of the last reel, you were just describing to me the location of where you were hiding, which was about 30 miles outside of Paris. And
yes, that's right, 30 miles.
Now, how did you get back to Paris after liberation?
It was 3 days that we heard that America had liberated France. And so we just went back to our home in Paris. We had been in the basement for so long, we were fed up with it. And we went immediately back to Paris. And it was just horrible. The destruction in Paris was just incredible. All that was left was 4 walls. There was absolutely nothing left in our house. All the windows were broken, everything was broken. We thought we would be happy to come back, but we had to borrow furniture, we had to borrow everything, things for the child. She was 5. Yeah, in 1945 she was 5. And we heard on the radio that we could go to this place to line up and get furniture. It was the American Army was giving supplies to. We got 4 chairs. They also gave us a little bit of money so we could buy necessities. We felt completely lost in France. Paris was just not at all what we remembered. We felt like we were in a completely different place. But we heard that in the other town, things were also bad, but that it was possible to go to Venezuela. I didn't like Venezuela. There was no culture.
Whoa, 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 we made a big leap here. We have to stop for a second. I don't know how we got to Venezuela, so let's stop for a moment. Wait, I'll have a question.
It was a terrible place.
Okay. What about, because you were with some of your family, what about your sister and brother-in-law who'd gone to Spain? What happened to them? Where did they wind up?
It was just me, my mother, my sister, and my daughter. That was all. The other sister was gone in Spain with her husband. We didn't see them for a long time. We had no idea what was going on with them.
But was she in Spain for now afterwards? Did you find out? Were they in Spain for the whole war? Did they go to America during that time? What happened?
They stayed. They had taken a bus down to Spain, and then they went by boat to Mexico.
When was that?
My sister, they left before the war was finished. Maybe 43?
Oh my God.
1943, something like that. I don't really know. We hadn't heard anything. We had no idea where they were or what had happened to them.
How did you first have communication?
The Red Cross let us know that they were alive and in Mexico. We were thrilled. It was 8 years since we had seen them when we heard they were in Mexico. We wanted to go and visit them, but I was still in such shock and confusion after the war. I wasn't ready to go visit them. But what was the question?
I just wanted to know when they first had communication with her sister, Clara, and she answered it. Was it,
yes,
what
Red Cross.
And what year?
In 1943, I think they went.
No. It was after the war.
Maybe about
7. Okay.
I get confused with, some of those years all meshed together in my memory.
That's okay. Just to the best of your ability. That's all that I ask.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when did you leave Paris? And where did you go?
We went to Venezuela in 1947, we went to Venezuela in a boat. The government the Venezuelan consulate in Paris announced that they would take 2,000 Jews to Venezuela to live there, to start a new life in Venezuela. They had built new apartment buildings and that they could handle 2,000 immigrants. And they would help trying to find jobs according to your skills. They had medical care ready. They were ready for 2,000 people. And we were happy to hear about that. We thought we could go and set up a business. And we had new clothes for the baby. My mother and I were able to get a job in a factory cutting clothes for children, but we didn't like it in Venezuela. There was no culture. My daughter was very smart. She could speak Hebrew and Spanish very well. Now she's forgotten it all, but for me, there was nothing. There were no deaf people. One time I saw some deaf people signing. I was thrilled, and I went up to them and said, "Are you deaf?" But they were afraid of me. They thought I was a stupid deaf person, I guess. I told my mother about it, and she wrote a paper and sent it off to a deaf school saying my daughter's looking for a deaf club or something. She talked to one woman and said, "My daughter wants to learn." The woman thought she meant she wanted a teacher. No, I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to socialize. Later, when I went to New York, it was better. I found people there.
For the 2 years in France before going to Venezuela, what did you do?
We just stayed in Paris, worked, traveled. There was money from Germany. And we traveled a little bit. We got jobs. whoever needed help, we went and worked for them.
What kind of jobs?
Fur, the same as before. Not from Germany. Ours was better than the German fur. It was mink. Mink fur.
I also forgot to ask you, when you were working for the Germans, what were you making?
Fur. Rabbits, and they gave us all the really hard things. We had to do the skin and the face, the noses. That's why the needles kept breaking.
But
they kept breaking 3 times. I would break, and then there would be 2 left, and the police would send us off to the camps if we broke too many needles.
But were they uniforms? Were they fur uniforms for officers, or what was the fur used for? Do you know?
They were vests. For the German soldiers, to keep them warm.
You also didn't. You must tell us where in Venezuela, what city you went to.
Caracas. The big city. It was a terrible city.
And from...
There were no... The police didn't even have shoes. The police walked around barefooted in Caracas.
And where did you move next?
New York.
What year was that?
47. No. 47 was the first time I went to New York.
But I wonder when she moved there.
49.
And when you got to New York City, what kind of work did you do?
I wasn't married. I was a widow for 9 years. I didn't want to marry again because I didn't know if my husband was alive or not. For 9 years I didn't know. He might still be alive. I kept wondering, where might he be? So my mother-in-law, Max's mother, told me to go visit the deaf club and meet some people. She said, go on, visit the deaf club. I'll take care of it. Both of the grandmothers were happy to take care of Esther. I got on the subway. The deaf club was UL, Union League. I didn't know exactly what it was. But, we partied and danced. And I met a woman who was from Venezuela. She wasn't staying there, she was just visiting. She said, are you alone? This was during my visit from Venezuela, not after I lived there. And I met a man named Ted. And the woman said, the woman asked Ted to take me home, and I was happy enough to have him take me home. I told him my name was Rose. Actually, I told him that it was Rose, and he changed it to Rosie. I was calling myself Rosa then. He changed it to Rosie.
Okay. Why don't we move ahead?
When I first came, my name was Raisa. Then I changed it to Rosa. And then he changed it to Rose. And his last name was Rosman.
And when did you marry? When did you two get married?
1949.
Was he a survivor too?
No, never. No. I never even really told him about any of it.
No, but was he a survivor? I need to know if he was a survivor.
No, he was born in Hungary.
But when? And when did he come to America? That's what I need to know.
He came when he was 16 years old. He moved to New York. And he went to the Fenwood School, a school for the deaf, in New York.
Did you have any children with Teddy?
No children with Teddy.
And what kind of work
did?
What kind of why?
Ted was very poor. I knew I had to work hard. He had 4 brothers and 1 sister. I didn't want a bunch of little kids pulling on my skirt all the time. Esther said she wanted a brother or sister, but I...
And what kind of work did you do while you were married to Ted?
Kind of seamstress.
It's a kind of sewing. Finitser. It's sewing. Don't you know what that word means? Who doesn't know what that word means?
How long were you married to Ted?
Well, really, Ted didn't know anything about me. I told Ted my passport was limited to 8 months. I came in 1949. I was supposed to go back after 3 months. But I lived with my mother. My mother had pain in her hand, something like arthritis. So we went to the American Council and begged for help to go to America.
Wait.
Said, okay.
Wait, I'm confused. Where were you? I thought we were in America and you were married to Ted. And now you're talking about going to America. I'm lost.
I was married to Ted for 38 years, but it started in 49, Thanksgiving. It was a rush marriage because my passport was going to expire. That's why I was telling you about the marriage and the passport. When I had come, I only had 3 months, so we had a rush marriage. I didn't want to go back to Venezuela. I wanted to keep the passport to stay here. And my mother wanted to add another 3 months to get 6 months. That was good. I went out with him sometimes. I didn't really feel happy because I kept looking back and I had memories of my real husband, Max. But there was only 6 months. Out of the 6 months, there was only 2 months left. My mother and I went to the American Council, and I didn't really feel good. We didn't want to go back. And he said, sorry, 2 months is the limit and you have to go back. That's it. You have no more time after 2 months. So as the time got closer and closer till we had to leave, I was at a ball, a dance. We called it BUL. I was in a fancy dress. I went in alone. It was a big hall. A deaf friend came up to me and said, "You speak English?" I said, "I speak German, but I just came from Venezuela." She said, "I want to introduce you to this man."
Wait, she's told us this part of the story. We need to...
And that night he took me home. Okay. He said his name was Ted. I said my name was... I gave him the Hebrew name, Raisa.
Wait, you told us this. I think we're getting very lost. I think we're getting a little lost here. We need to get back on track, okay? Okay.
Sorry,
So,
I realized I already told you.
yeah,
Okay.
so I'm just trying to keep it... All I really wanted to ask was, how long were you married to Ted?
28 years.
Okay. Did you live together the entire 28 years?
Yes.
And then...
And then we were divorced.
Okay, is he still alive?
He died 2 years ago in Florida.
Did you always work once you came to the United States?
Oh yes, always. I worked. And watched my daughter too. She went to school and I worked.
And what kind of work?
I told you, I was a finisher.
Oh, that was it, finisher. Okay. When did you come to California?
63.
Why did you come to California?
Because my daughter had a new boyfriend who lived here. And they married. And then it was a heartbreak. My heart just broke when they left. In 1962. So the next year, I came to visit on her birthday in December. I brought a cake with me on the airplane. Say happy birthday. And I stayed at her home. It was a furnished apartment. And I thought, wow, I like it here. It's really nice here. Good weather. It was like Venezuela as far as the weather was concerned. I mean, the city was different, but the weather was nice. So I told my daughter I was going to visit Union and maybe visit the Union, see if I could get a job here. They said, "What's your job?" I said, "I'm a finisher." They said, sure, no problem." "Really? No problem?" They said, "Where do you work?" And I said, "In New York, in the clothing industry." And they said, "Fine, come on out." So I went back home. I said, "I have a job in California." So I went back to New York, got my things. I was really happy. That was in 1963. So 62, my daughter married, moved out here. In 63, I came out. I think it was in June. I packed up all my stuff. I told my husband, "Do you want to come with me?" He said, "No." He said, "You want to stay in New York?" I said, "Fine." I packed up everything, all the boxes. I was trying to think how I should get to California. I decided to go by bus. I went on a Greyhound. I went to visit a friend in Philadelphia, stayed for 3 days. And then I went on to I said, "I'm going to California." She said, "Really?" "Okay, bye." I got back in the bus again. And I stopped in Denver. And visited another friend there, very surprised to see me. stayed about 3 days in Denver. And then I got on the bus again. And I said, I don't know. I decided I didn't want to get on any more buses. So from Denver, I flew the rest of the way to California. And I called my daughter. My daughter was really surprised. Told her what time to meet me. It was just 2 hours from Denver to LA. It was wonderful. I met my daughter. She said, "You're crazy. You're crazy." And I said, "It was like a vacation. I had a really nice trip." I lived with her for a week and looked for a furnished apartment nearby. And I found one, and there I stayed.
And what is her son-in-law's name? Full name?
Jeff Weissel. W-E-I... Wait. W-E-I-S-S-E-L-L.
Weissel. And do they have any children?
2.
And what are their names?
My grandson, Mitchell, is my grandson, named after my father, and Lori.
And for whom is Lori?
Larry.
For whom is Larry named?
Jeff's uncle.
And when were they born? Does she remember?
I've got it written down somewhere.
Okay, that's okay. We'll get it later.
Next time I call her, I'll ask her. I forgot.
Okay. Are you retired now?
Oh, yeah, a long time ago. In 79, I retired.
And did you always work in the garment as a finisher?
Yes. And then after I moved here in Los Angeles, I changed. I started doing samples, making coat samples. That was it. I did that for 10 years and liked it. And then I retired.
I
was really depressed when I got retired. I wanted another job, nah. I stopped and just retired.
I have one last question. And that is,
okay.
Now that it's over 50 years since the war has ended, what do you want your daughter and your grandchildren to remember most about what happened to you as a Jew?
Well, my daughter already knows everything, already. And she has told the grandsons already. They know the whole story. Larry, well, I don't know if he knows it very well, but the oldest one knows.
But as Jews, what does she want them to remember? That's the important part, being as Jews. The legacy.
My daughter wants to carry on the Jewish tradition. And if they get married, my grandsons, it has to be a Jewish wedding. Max's mother is very Orthodox. They would have to go to a real temple. She wanted the two of us to have a real wedding. We didn't have one in the temple.
And we're going to have to stop here and change the tape.